I was just going to say, if you're a Hall of Famer in baseball, you're 3 for 10. That means you're the best ever. So real estate's no different. If you got a 30% rate of building a client out of 10 phone calls, then you are killing it. And it's like, you're going to have some bumps and bruises. You're going to have some scars. If you're a pitcher and you never had a sore arm, you probably didn't get that many innings. You probably didn't get out there very much. If I'm about to step in the ring with somebody in the UFC and he don't got cauliflower ears, has this guy been rolling very much? Has this guy tough? Yeah. You got to have those scars a little bit to be able to succeed.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome back to the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. Today, got a really special guest, Evan Crawford. Evan is down in Alabama. What's cracking, Evan?
Oh, man, not much. We got a little, like I said, a little rain today, and we just try to bring a little sunshine onto the real estate world. That's it. Every day.
Love it, man. Love it. I hope so. Obviously, that's the goal of the show is somebody's in a dark place. We're able to help get them out and hopefully answer a few questions and maybe some behaviors as to why they feel they suck at this point. Now, just a little bit on your background. From what I understand, you are a real estate professional, co-founder of the Crawford Willis Group at EXP, based out of Auburn. War Eagle.
War Eagle, that's it. Yeah, that's that's our secret call sign.
Not much there you go. Yeah, I used to work in college sports. So I always had to be careful of who I was talking to and where. Yeah. Especially down by you guys.
Yeah, you don't want to get with that RT around here.
Yeah.
That's that roll tide. I don't want to say much. I don't want to say it too loud, but you don't want to say that around here.
Yeah, I won't say it. I won't say it. I promise. I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm a Wisconsin fan, and they've had a rough couple of years. So
that's all right. So have we.
Yeah, true.
Hey, but that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about today. That's all right. You can have a rough couple of years and still bounce back. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, man, I'm excited to talk with you, though. It sounds like you've done some things that you're innovative, exceptional. You got exceptional service, tons of clients, help buying and selling. But a little bit of your backstory. I always like to do that in the beginning. What do you got? How did you get into real estate? How long you've been involved, and why did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I grew up around it. My grandfather was a builder, had a real estate, was a realtor in my hometown where I'm from, small town in Alabama. My mom was a real estate agent. My uncles were real estate agents. I laid all the sod and did trim work and did all the stuff. He built houses as well. So me and the cousins did all that stuff. So we were always around real estate. And then I actually came to Auburn. I played baseball here, and then I was with the Toronto Blue Jays for 7 years and the White Sox for 1 year. And my last year, we had our first son. And during that time, I was like, all right, I don't want to be traveling anymore. I knew what I wanted to do. Real estate was what I wanted to do since I was young. I've been around it forever. And so I was like in my locker sitting there taking real estate classes, and guys are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, they're like, you don't really plan to stick around very long. They're like, your ERA is not that bad. And I'm like, I think it's time for me to hang them up. And I jumped straight out of that season. And the next week I was trying to hit the ground running with my real estate business.
Love it, man. Yeah, and I got a sports background as well, not quite to that level, but now I know why I recognize the name at least a little bit, so that's good.
If you saw some home runs given up, that was probably me.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Hey, we all do that, right?
That's right.
That's what this podcast is all about.
Absolutely.
We learn from the failures and we forget about the successes pretty quickly because we got to move on to the next one. So
got to have a short memory.
Man. Yeah. So with that being said, how long have you been in real estate now?
So I got in 2014 was my last year of playing. And so I guess that makes me about 11 years going on 12 here. So it was the end of my 14th season.
Cool, man. Getting into it, obviously you've grown, I would assume, into a pretty big thing here. But when you're talking about that, what does it feel like? What kind of effort for those that feel they're in a rut maybe a little bit? What kind of effort should they be putting in?
I mean, all of it. That's one thing that separates good agents and average agents or agents that are out of business in 3 years. It's effort. It's what are you putting into it every day? And because just like anything, just like we can probably bounce sports back and forth on this the whole episode, but anything you're putting in effort and if you're not putting in effort and you're expecting it back, something back, then you're doing the wrong thing. You're going about this all backwards. Half the time, you got to put in the effort and not really expect anything back right away. As we know in real estate, it's your 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, commercial deal, you're 180 days from a closing and a paycheck and any kind of pat on the back. So really you need to be putting in the effort with no expectation of receiving anything. And if you can keep your kind of nose to the grindstone, head down and do that every single day, one day you're going to look up and go, holy cow, what did I close this year? And so that's the mindset that I try to take in every year is I don't want to look up. I don't want to see what's coming back. I want to just put in the work and that's it.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Now, when we talk about the behaviors or the effort, let's break that down a little bit, segment that down a little bit. So
Yeah.
when you're training new agents or working with mentoring new agents, how are you breaking down their day?
Yeah, so that was probably for me was the hardest thing. My partner is Matthew Willis, and he's much older than me. Luckily, he just left, so he won't kick that back. But he had been in the business for about 10 years prior to me getting in the business, and the brokerage I came onto, he became a mentor for me, and that was my biggest struggle. Loved people, I knew real estate, had been around it forever, had knew construction, all that stuff, but it was the day-to-day activity, the time blocking, that kind of stuff. That was always done for me. That was always in baseball. It was hey, stretch at 11:30, BP at 12, post-game or pre-game meal at this time. So it was just everything was always done. And so when I got into real estate, I was finding time to do other things. And I think a lot of agents get caught doing that, especially, and that's why we have an office, and we could be a remote brokerage with EXP, but I'm like, no, man, I got to have an office. I got to have my time. I've got to set a schedule for myself, because if I don't, I'm squirrel. I'm everywhere. Like I'll find something else to do. And so for me, and putting that work in, is the step one is, what's your schedule look like? What do you expect to do on a day-to-day basis? Are you going to try to starting off, are you going to try to put your contacts together? Are you going to spend 2 hours putting your contacts together into a sheet that you can organize and you can come back to? Are you going to make calls for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? Is that what you expect of yourself? And one thing I hate is when we go to these conferences and we go to these places and people are like, man, you got to make 400 calls in a day. And you hear a lot of these real estate coaches and stuff saying that. And come on, that's not reality.
That's not reality.
Let's set ourselves up for, hey, 2 or 3 hours, you can make calls for 2 or 3 hours straight, and you can knock out 50 calls, 40 calls pretty quickly, depending on how those conversations go. I tell our agents, I'm like, look, if you're good at it, you're probably not going to get as many conversations, because you want to have as many questions as you possibly can to the person you're talking to. You don't want to be cut off and run off to the next call. It's not necessarily volume, it's how valuable was that phone call. And setting up a time frame of how long I'm going to be making these calls, not necessarily how many calls am I making, but sticking to it. I think consistency every day when you don't feel good, when you say, hey, I've got a billion other things to do, it's what's going to fund those other things that you have to do today. And that's going to be getting to work and doing the things that you need to do in order to have closings. And it's not really a secret by any means. I've never talked to a new agent that thought that was a novel idea, that making calls got sales. And I've never talked to a wildly successful agent that didn't do that. I never talked to a wildly successful agent that's, hey, I don't make any calls. I never talk to anybody. I just wake up and I schedule my closings.
Yeah, I think I've been doing this now. I think I'm on episode 14 or 15 now with talking with you. And so I've been meeting with a lot of people all over the country, and it's all over the board as far as what you're saying there. Yeah, phone calls. But like somebody else, I talked to a guy earlier today on another episode. He doesn't even make one phone call, because he's built his business over time, and he's created his referral base is so large now that he doesn't even need. He knows when he wakes up on Monday, even if he doesn't have any activity, he knows he's going to get somebody that's going to call in that week and have that happen.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
That's a good place to be.
I think for new agents, that's certainly important to understand. Like you had mentioned about the 90-day. I call it planting seeds, right? Like you have 90 days. Right now, if we're in December, end of December, we're not going to see the results of what we do today until March.
No, correct.
And so
I had somebody explain it to me one day of tending your root. You always want to be tending your root. You always want to be watering your root. And your fruit's going to grow, fruit's going to hit, it's going to start popping. But the second you start going to reach for that fruit and trying to take it out of the tree and do those things, you forget to tend your root. And then all of a sudden, 90 days from now, you're back dried up, you got no fruit. And you're like, what happened to my tree? What happened? Tending your root, constantly tending your root every single day, I think is very important in this business.
Yeah, 100%. And action leads to results. Doesn't matter. Like you can do it your way, you can do it the other way of everybody, other people. There's not a right or a wrong, is you have to do.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Then there's some people that are just, they love to go to lunch with people. They love to be part of clubs. They love to go to the Humane Society and volunteer that day. And if you are really good at that and you can open up conversation about real estate and let people know that's what you're doing, you're going to get business from doing the things you love. And that's also what I try to share with our agents all the time. Look, whatever it is you like to do, if it's to go to the gym, talk to people at the gym about, let them know what you're doing, and you'll be very surprised how many closings you'll get from doing something you love and meshing that your life and your hobbies into your professional world. And that's really the sweet spot, I think, is if you're doing day-to-day activities of things that you really like doing and being able to mesh that in with getting
Right.
closings.
Yeah. Now, I would imagine with making the phone calls, going back to that aspect of it, strategy that you guys use,
Yep.
getting comfortable with rejections probably a pretty important.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens in real estate no matter what.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, again, if you're a Hall of Famer in baseball, what, you're 3 for 10, that means you're the best ever. So real estate's no different. If you got a 30% rate of building a client out of 10 phone calls, then you are killing it. And it's like, you're going to have some bumps and bruises. You're going to have some scars. If you're a pitcher and you never had a sore arm, you probably didn't get that many innings. You probably didn't get out there very much. If I'm about to step in the ring with somebody in the UFC and he don't got cauliflower ears, has this guy been rolling very much? Has this guy tough? Yeah. You got to have those scars a little bit to be able to succeed. And that's another one that I like to use is playing guitar. If you've ever played guitar before, you suck at it at first, you're not good, your fingers hurt. And once you build that callus up on the guitar, on the strings, you can start holding the strings down better. It sounds better. It's the same thing with phone calls and just having conversations with people. Again, I'm mostly talking about new agents, because if you're a new agent, secrets out, you don't know what you're talking about all the time. It takes time to learn those things. It takes time to fail and go, oh crap, I didn't know the answer to that. And now I'm going to go dig into that. And now I do the next time I'm faced with that question or that objection. And it's the same thing like playing guitar, and it's your fingers hurt, and then all of a sudden you get a callus, and it's the same as getting hung up on a bunch of times. You build a callus for that where it doesn't even bother you. Next phone call, it's like, all right, I'm gonna
laugh
out.
At it, move on. Yep.
Yeah, you chase the no, and the more no's you get, the closer you're getting to a yes somewhere. And like I said, we're not salesy. We're not trying to sell anybody on a phone call. That's not what we do at all. We're relationship based. We just want to help. We want to see if we can help anywhere. So we have a lot of people that visit our website and go look at properties, and it's, hey, how can we help you with those properties? Is there any questions you have? It's not like hey, do you want to go set up this showing right now? And then with the rejection thing that we talked about, if you really are just getting beat up and just rejection, call a friend. That's what I tell our agents too. I'm like, call a friend, call somebody you're going to have a really good positive conversation with.
Yeah.
And take that momentum into the next one. And because it's all about momentum, it's all about how you feel about yourself at the time, whether your phone call is going to go good or not.
For sure. Now, how are you guys grabbing? People call them leads. I call them opportunities.
Yeah.
Where are you guys getting those opportunities from?
So mostly it comes from our website. People visiting our website, looking at those things, or looking at properties on there and putting in their information. For us, it's not like a cold call. We're not really cold call people. Again, We're more relationship based. And I say a lot, call your sphere around, just check on people, see how they're doing. See how the job's going. If you ask them how their job's going, they're going to ask you how real estate's going. And as soon as they ask you how real estate's going, the door is open for conversation about, hey, who do you know?
Everybody likes to talk about real estate.
Everybody loves to talk about it. Everybody's a professional. So
everybody's a professional. They think they know the rates. And want to know the market. It's every single one.
It's crashing. It's crashing in 6 months. Every 6 months.
Every 6 months, it's crashing the next 6 months.
Yep, I hear it all the time. But
it's pretty slow by us right now transactionally, but I think November was down like 10% from last year, and last year was the slowest year in 30 years.
Yeah, last year was slow. Overall, we had a very good year. We had a very weird year. We'd be very busy. All our listings would sell in a week, and then we'd have 3 weeks where, I'd call my wife and be like, hey, will you call my phone and see if it's working? Like, I don't know. We're not getting anything. I'm not getting anything. So it was like that all year. It was 1 week good, 3 weeks bad. 1 week good, it keeps you on your toes. That's the one thing I like about this industry.
For sure. And you keep grinding, right? Like you said, the consistency matters, because if you're doing the right behaviors and you're doing the right actions every single day, you're going to see the results. That's just what it is. I think that's from us being sports guys and coaches hammering us for years, but that's reality. I mean, that translates very well to the real world.
Yeah, 3 week slump doesn't scare me much. Get back in the cages. You just got to keep going.
For sure. So let's talk about some common failures that agents don't realize that maybe are coming, especially those inexperienced agents. What are some things that they should expect that we usually don't talk about?
Yeah, I would say some of the things that we've seen here recently, this would be, I guess, more usable information just on the most recent front, is just we've seen so many contracts fall out of escrow. So many things, and Has to do with a ton of different aspects. It's, hey, all right, we just got our inspection back and now we realize how much cash we have on hand and we can't do some of these things. Seller may not have enough cash to fix them before the closing, and then we can't come to a meeting of the minds. That's happened. Appraisal stuff has happened. We've seen a lot of stuff, but I would say most of the time it's inspection due diligence. We're seeing stuff fall out, and I've heard a lot of new agents just say, I can't close anything. I can't get anything to close. Even when somebody finally does decide to purchase, they won't go through with the purchase. And I think you think about it, somebody gets a contract and they go to their lender right away and say, hey, we got a contract on the place. Here's the purchase price. They knew they were approved. They knew all that stuff. The lender looks at it and says, all right, here's your estimated insurance. Here's your estimated taxes. Here's your payment. Here's all the stuff. And here's the real life of it all. And I think people, to be honest, get a little cold feet when that happens, especially in an economy where the last 3 or 4 years it wasn't as good as it was there when a lot of agents got in right around the COVID time, where interest rates were 2.5% and money was free. And so all of a sudden money becomes 8%, 7.5%, 7%, and it just looks different. Maybe the last time they went to go purchase something, it was 2.5%, and that was what they had in their minds on a payment. And then they see it, and then they go, all right, the home inspection had a light switch plate that was cracked. We don't want to buy this house anymore. And people were falling out of contract a lot with those home inspections that were really not bad, but happening. So I think that was a challenge that a lot of newer agents saw, because you think about it, and I'm sure y'all were in the same boat during the 2.5% interest rate time. It was 15 offers on every single house, and everything was going over ask, and people were waiving home inspections and people were waiving appraisals. And so what's to go wrong? There's nothing going wrong here. Like we are cruising to the finish line after I showed a house. So I think that probably is what I've seen from agents that started around that time period till now. I think that's the challenge that they've seen the most. The other challenge is obviously interest rate was something that that was a big objection, where they're like, hey, we're waiting on interest rates to come down. And they just couldn't get any momentum. Agents couldn't get any momentum at all, because and to be honest, some people were like, if you're an honest agent and you really care about your clients, sometimes it is, this doesn't make sense. You're sitting at a 2.5 right now, and you're about to go pick up a 7.5 and 8. Unless you just had quadruplets and you need more space, this ain't it. This ain't it for you. And like I said, if you want business when the rates come back, then you got to be honest with your clients and not try to say, no, this is still a good deal, because then you look like a piece of crap whenever you're not telling them the truth when they find out, wait, my payment's going to be what? And I'm going to be underwater. And I think that was a challenge for people as well, is just trying to get over those objections that people were having. And then a lot of people saying, like they always do, like we mentioned earlier, market's going to crash in 6 months and I'm going to pick up a house on pennies on the dollar. And that's just because prices did go up very fast. But if you look long term, they were going up from a correction in 2008 that are still in line with every price from 68 or something like that. We're pretty much in a direct line.
Rate is exactly the same. There's just that dip.
And new agents may not realize that. New agents may not realize the nuances of the real estate market globally, nationally. And so that's a challenge for you if you're not well equipped and well educated on the market. And so I think that is a challenge as well, and which is, I feel like I'm rambling right now. I'm sorry, but
no, man, that's good. But yeah, you hit a whole bunch of really great points there within all of that. But and we're going to run into shit. That's just reality. It's what it is. Like you said, the light plate thing. I've had people just drop out and you can tell their agents have lied about the reasons they're getting out of it. And do you want to go fight the fight? Because they're going to figure out some way to get out of that contract anyway. So
And we started
there's a fine line with that. But how do you advise agents to, especially new ones, where like that next closing, they get into it, and they're 2 weeks from closing, they think they're getting a paycheck, and then they get blindsided by something like that. How are you advising them to build thicker skin, not get that commission breath, is what I call it, when they're getting there and they're relying on that paycheck, and just staying human and empathetic towards their clients?
Yeah, I think that's where the consistency day to day comes in the most. Is you got to be so consistent every single day that this one deal is not going to make or break you. And if you are doing those things that you know truly in your heart of hearts that you should be doing on a daily basis, it won't be. The problem, I guess a lot of the problem is a lot of new agents. We have agents come in that want to join the team and things like that. And you hear them say, I ask, hey, why do you want to get in this business? And a lot of them say, I want a flexible schedule. And it's, oh no, that is a red flag because that's not what this is about. And so your schedule should be fairly rigid of I'm going to do this thing every single day, just like any other job, because that's what's going to guarantee me that, yeah, sure, it's not guaranteed money. It's not a salary, but it can be if you treat it the right way. You may have some dips and you may have some jumps, but for the most part, you're going to be pretty even keel. And I guess a long answer to your question is the best way to mitigate that is to put in the work that you know you got to do, which was our first comment we made in this episode was you got to do the work. And like you said, whatever that is to you, it's what you set out for yourself in that year. What was your goal? And in your goals, you should have a regimented schedule of what it's going to take for you. If your goal is $20,000 that year, then working 3 days a week or 2 days a week for a couple hours, you should be good to do that goal. Yeah. But if that's your goal, then that's what it takes. And if you drop out of a deal, then you got to know that, all right, then next Tuesday I got to get back to work and I'll make my 20K. So I guess that would be my answer, is just that consistency aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. So as we wrap up here and we get into the end of the podcast, and you've hit on it a ton of times, I think consistency is the theme for this show for sure. But right. For those really out there that are giving to agents that are failing right now or ones that feel they suck, what's the best advice you can give them? Other than consistency, because you hit that already.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, you got to be confident. You got to be confident, so educate yourself. If that's something that you think can benefit you in conversations with people, because like you said earlier, everybody's interested in real estate. So even if it's not a cold call or a warm call or a hot call, even if it's a conversation with somebody in the line at the grocery store that saw your license plate when you were coming in and it had a realtor tag on it and they mentioned something, being confident and being educated in the real estate world will give you the self-esteem that you need to have an amazing conversation for them to go, actually, do you have a card? Because I really liked everything you said. Sounds like you, if I'm going to, I used this the other day, but if I'm going on a plane and I know some of the guys I went to college with and I heard their name as the pilot, I'm like, I ain't getting on that plane. Like, I know there's just, you got to present yourself as a professional in everywhere you go, and you got to understand what you're doing. So I guess educating yourself would be one of the things that I would say will give you some self-esteem that's going to roll into the next conversation. And then you're going to be able to come into the office. And I tell our agents too, warm up like an athlete. Like, you get into the office or you get it to your desk at your house in your PJs and you pull up the MLS and you look at what's for sale, what's sold, educate yourself on your market. And now you're ready for any conversation you're going to have on the day, because somebody's going to say, hey, what is house average price point right now is about 127 or 214 or whatever. You're going to have an answer for them right away. And then you're going to say, yeah, actually in this one neighborhood, for some reason, everything's 230. So, if you live in that neighborhood, this is a great having it. And then people go, man, that person knows what they're talking about. I'm going to call that person whenever I need some real estate advice. Or they're going to go, hey, speaking of, my cousin was moving here and they just don't know where to move. So can I give them your information? Yes, please. Absolutely. Would love to help your cousin out. But it's just, I think that's probably the biggest thing I would say is educate yourself. Stay educated. Don't just treat it as a volunteer job. Treat it as a job.
For sure. Awesome. Great stuff, Evan. Where can people find you?
We're at Instagram at Crawford Willis Group. Our website's www.crawfordwillisgroup. I think YouTube. I think it's all just Crawford Willis. We keep. We're not very small. We're not very smart, so we got to keep it simple. Crawford Willis Group.
I love it, man. Well, Evan, thanks so much for coming on the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. Clearly, that is not you, but appreciate the advice you've given to our viewers. And if you like what you guys see, give us a subscribe and follow. But yeah, Evan, appreciate you coming on, man.
Man, thanks for having me. This was fun. As you can tell, I can talk a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Shut up sometimes, so I'm sorry.
That's the point. That's the point, man. That's the point. Awesome. Good stuff, man. We'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. So that's a wrap here on the Why Do I Suck as a Real Estate Agent podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me and our guests. The people you hear on this show really aren't guessing. They've been doing the work. They've been doing it for a long time. They're sharing their behaviors, their habits, their successes, their systems that actually lead to real work, real success. So please subscribe and follow so you don't miss the next conversation. Until next time, remember, you don't suck. You're learning. It's the beginning, or maybe you're in a rut, but you don't suck. So make a few changes, stay curious, stay consistent, and please keep coming back.